Hi, Eli.
I think so.
You just recently had us read this article by Garrett Kaiser called On Stupidity and Transcendence. And I thought how interesting those two words put together, stupidity and transcendence. And reading the article, I I see that actually stupidity seems to have a really it's really relates to actually trying to avoid reality, and
Yes,
it's called transcendence.
yes. But I really like in this essay, this third force, Garrett
Hmm.
Kaiser, Harper's Magazine. So anyway, in this article, he defines what stupid is. He says, stupid doesn't mean unintelligent or even uninformed. The political philosopher Eric Vogelin was closer to the mark when he defined stupidity as a loss of reality. It's possible to take that a little further and say that stupidity is a denial of reality to the degree that one's own survival or the survival of others is imperiled. Stupidity is oblivious to negative consequences. Gross stupidity invites negative consequences. There's an element of willfulness to it. It's like, let the oceans rise, let the virus rage, you can't scare me.
If there's a group who's transcended,
Yes,
then there's this feeling of omnipotence.
yes,
I'm in this group, we all feel the same way. We see this with QAnon,
that's right.
and it becomes,
And this omniscience, which leads to inflation, more inflation, this becomes self defeating because you are falling into the pit of your own creation. So in your inflation, you're missing reality. And so you're saying, okay, reality is corrupt, it's only a dream. Whatever you say about reality, there's still a body in a three-dimensional world that is functioning. And it's functioning within certain circumstances. And if you ignore those circumstances, you walk into a wall, or you fall into a pit, or you walk out into traffic,
or you destroy the planet.
or you destroy the planet. That's what we all want, is transcendence. But this misses the mark because it's essentially selfish. It's essentially based in more me.
And cynical,
Cynical. Well, the cynicism is part of the transcendence because
right?
you see through it.
Yeah,
And so you're
it
cynical
makes you
about
smart.
everything. You're smarter than everybody else. You know the answer. You know things that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
And that gets reinforced in this group thing. So that, if one person believes in religion, so what? But when you get enough people together believing it, alternating, altering reality in their bubble of perception,
Yes.
so they now have a transcendental view of the world that
Yes.
is divine and informed with God,
You have, the
you,
Nazis.
then, yeah, you have Nazis, exactly. And there's no breaking through it
Yeah.
with logic or reason or facts or science
Impossible.
because it's a belief system.
Yeah.
And you can see how everyone is trapped in belief systems and how they're actually survival mechanisms. Our belief in money keeps the next meal coming. You stop your belief in money, personally, nobody cares. But if the whole country stops and the money becomes valueless, everything
Yeah.
collapses.
Yeah.
So it requires belief. And religion requires belief. And if you take away the belief in religion and the belief in money and and the belief in private property,
You took away society,
then
right?
everything is gone.
The whole group.
Civilization has fallen,
Exactly.
they would say.
Exactly.
But it's a kind of civilization, a civilization based in greed.
Yeah, it's not civil.
It's not civil.
It's not civil. This whole thing with the masks, there's no civic, there's no sense of civic responsibility.
Because I'm self empowered.
And it's such a, this is the stupidity of
That's
it, isn't
stupidity.
it?
It's selfishness.
Yeah.
Selfishness masquerading as spirituality, as transcendence, as knowing, as being a goddess, as whatever it is,
Righteous.
righteous and true freedom
My
fighters.
rights. Yes. Freedom fighters.
Freedom fighters. These are freedom
Yes.
fighters fighting for their right to be selfish.
Yes. So then this, it was in here about liberation, about an act of liberation being the only way to break
Yes.
through stupidity, and the liberation of the personal versus the liberation of the social versus, actually, I'm not
Yeah, no, it's
stating
true.
it
You're saying it
correctly.
right. So it's
Clarify
like,
for me what I'm trying to say.
so what you're saying is that when you're in a trance like this, whether you call yourself a Muslim or a Jew or a Christian or a Buddhist, and so all belief systems are the foundation of what we call reality.
Mm-hmm.
And truth is beyond belief.
Mm.
So the liberation was the impossibility of being rational with someone and explaining them out of their belief. Beliefs cannot be explained out of. Beliefs are, what makes them a belief is that you're certain about something that isn't real, that isn't here now. You're certain there's a God, even though you have no. You're certain, whatever it is, that certainty is the belief in something that's not here. If it were here, you wouldn't need a belief.
That's right.
You'd be, here it is.
Yeah.
But since it's not here, I believe it. And that root is impenetrable except by being pierced by liberation, by freedom. You can pierce your own bubble if what you love is freedom. Because it's the freedom, the love of freedom, that brings you to the false transcendence of, I'm puffed up, I'm omnipotent, I know, I've got it together,
We know.
and we know we're
Yes.
here. Yeah.
Me against them against us.
Yes. And instead, this same drive that creates that, if you stay true to freedom instead of to anything else, it takes you, pops you through to see
Yes.
yourself and to burst the bubble.
Yes.
And when the bubble bursts, it's devastating. No one wants their bubble burst. When you lose faith in Jesus or you lose faith in capitalism or whatever it is you lose faith in your
relationship.
In your relationship, there's a despair.
Mm-hmm.
A despair because the illusion was broken. That's why it's disillusionment.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking the illusion.
Yeah.
And that's painful because we're attached to our illusion as our identity.
It makes us be alone, actually. And there's such a fear of being alone. There's such a fear to actually be alone. And then to actually not attach to something else, to actually be willing to meet that. There's this possibility of the discovery of what's actually real, what's truly real and alive.
That's what's so terrifying about being alone, is that it's the gateway to the unknown. And that's both what we want and what we love and what's calling us, what we're most terrified of. And in being alone, there's a certain sanity because you're not part of the groupthink. When you're really alone and you're by yourself, you're not plugged in. You're not consuming. You're not having to deal with or trade, or you're just being alone by yourself. There's nothing else going on. That's a liberation.
And we can get glimpses of it. We can have glimpses of that in a moment.
Yes.
With no effort.
Yeah.
But then the practice of relationship, and I'm not just talking about, intimate relationships, I'm talking about relationship with the other. It's such an addiction, really. And to break that here we go, we have to face this unknown, which brings up grief, fear, all the feelings we've been avoiding by going along with or uniting with, in the name of uniting with.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. It breaks the false unity.
The false unity. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Because again, everyone wants unity. Everyone wants oneness. Everyone wants full connectedness. But there has to be a deeper motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing for something more fundamental. If you're never connected again, you won't sell out.
It's beautiful. It's true.
Yes.
Yes. So
it's really about testing our own nature, our own willingness, our own courage, our own integrity. And in that we uncover our own stupidities.
mm-hmm. Yes.
We see where something still believed in some way.
And then there's a chance to actually correct it.
Yes, there's a chance to just wake up. And then it's self-correcting, really.
Yeah. I mean, from my own life, I can't even begin to say how incredible it is and how wonderful, beautiful it is to actually turn my attention directly to the truth.
Mm.
And years ago when I met Gangaji, that just meant letting my heart explode and falling in love, as we talked about in the meeting of the teacher. But then the fulfillment actually is in telling the truth.
Yes.
It truly is.
Yes.
And it's not something I can say it, but to have a glimpse of that and then to really give your full attention to it. It's really what we're all looking for, and all, it slays stupidity.
Yes.
It slays mediocrity.
Yes.
And there's sport. Just to kind of link back to the student-teacher conversation we had last, we're not looking for idols like what happens when there's this groupthink and this projection onto someone who's going to save us, who knows what's right, and our group is all in it, and we're going to do it together, like with the Nazis or the QAnons or whatever versions popping up now. But it's this intimacy of meeting yourself alone and yet together.
Very clear. Very beautiful. I love to see you this way.
Thank you. I'd love to be met and to meet you. Same. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.